the football season's right around the corner, and every Horn College game day, we started a couple of years ago, The Real Heroes, where we tell the stories of the real heroes out there, the fighting men and women, the stories of the fighting men and women who protect our freedoms. And Ashley Kamrath, one of our favorite people, will be spearheading that again for us in the fall for 12 Texas football games, and she's with us, and she's fresh back from a week hanging out with the United States Marine Corps at the Marine Corps Recruiting Depot in San Diego, California. Hello, Ashley.
Hi. I'm actually awake and somewhat recovered.
It's unbelievable. You've been gone forever. We haven't seen, when the last time we saw her? Like
a month ago.
About a month ago, yeah.
About a year ago, for crying out loud. But we're putting it together. We're gonna have another unbelievable football season and telling great stories at Schultz Garden and telling great stories at Doc's. And I know that's what lights your fire and gets you going to tell these stories. But you got to go experience what I guess a new recruit would experience that is signed up to defend our country and be a U.S. Marine.
I do, and I did. And one of the most special college game days we've ever done there at Schultz's Beer Garden for me was last season when we actually swore 30-plus Marine recruits in right there live at Schultz's Beer Garden. So you never know what you're going to get when you show up there on college game day. Besides all of the incredible sports commentary, we always have some sort of surprise. I actually have a surprise this year for football season.
Uh-oh.
We're kicking the football season off with an Irish lad.
An Irish lad. That's be
Your
August
people, Erin.
My people.
Your people.
Aaron go broad.
Those people.
Those people.
Yeah,
you were
an
those
Irish
people.
lad that actually came and joined the United States military. But that was one of the most special college game days for me, at least, was to be able to have these young men and women. And as Major Peterson, the active duty Marine that we interviewed that day, said, these kids know what they're getting into. We've been at war for over a decade. They're not raising their hand saying, yes, I'm going to go spend 4 years in the Marine Corps and then get out. No, they know we're in war. And so I got the very rare privilege and opportunity to go spend an entire week there in their neck of the woods and see exactly what they go through. From the moment they step off the bus to 13 weeks later, the moment that they get to march across that field and that ceremony as a United States Marine and go hug their family. And it was absolutely incredible. I went into it thinking, okay, well, I already know a lot about the Marine Corps because I work a lot with military. My brother was a Marine. And, man, was I wrong. I didn't know jack.
Well, so how did you get the opportunity to do this? I know you have a lot of contacts within the military with all the work that you do with us, but certainly in your other endeavors. Ashley does a lot with a lot of different foundations and folks. And how did this opportunity come about for you to spend a week in San Diego and experiencing what new recruits to the Marine Corps go through?
So the Marine Corps actually, just like all branches, actually has a program that is specifically designed towards media and educators. It's very important that they educate their educators, counselors, music teachers, which we'll get to that, and media on, hey, this is what the Marine Corps is about. So they selected just a couple dozen people this year, and we got to go, and the Marine Corps flew us out there and put us up for the week. I was selected, I think, partly because I played a trick on a brigadier general back in the day, and he was like, oh, yeah, let me see, let me show you. But no, I think for the most part, because I have been given so many opportunities, and I constantly have people calling and offering me sporting good tickets and, concert tickets, just different neat opportunities, hunts and fishing trips and stuff like that. And so it seems to me like the Marine Corps are the ones that continue to step up, and they're very eager about the opportunities. I said, hey, why not? Give it to them. And then they actually turned around and gave me an opportunity to go live in their world for a week.
All right, so I know you have a blog that's at ashleykamrath.blogspot.com that kind of takes everybody in detail through with some pictures of your week, but describe it for the folks. I mean, you obviously from your perspective, but you got to go through the first week of what would be basic training, right?
It was actually kind of, that was the unique thing about it, because they have so many recruits there at the depot, the Marine Corps Recruiting Depot, aka MCRD. They have so many recruits there at one time. They kind of gave us a little taste of each step of it, because they've got so many. We got to see recruits that were straight off the bus and meeting their drill instructors for the first time, to those that were going through their underwater training, to those that were going through the bayonet assault course for the first time. We got to go sit down with some Marine recruits that I actually got to sit down with one from Luling, Texas, which I've done a lot of nonprofit work in Luling, and so we kind of had an immediate bond. But he was actually in phase 3 of his training. We got to see Marines that were, going through that last step, which is kind of their final test to become a Marine, which is called the Crucible. We got to see Marines actually a week after the Crucible walking through and doing that ceremony and that graduation. So it was 1 week. It had, oh my goodness, we had so much jam packed into 1 week. It was, brief followed by activity, followed by brief, followed by lunch, so it was a very jam packed schedule, but it was really neat because, like I said, we got to see kind of a big picture and snapshot of the entire 13-week process.
What is the camaraderie like? I mean, I know you're out there trying to survive yourself, but you have to do so many things as a team. What's the camaraderie like for somebody that may not be as physical as one guy or one gal? Does everybody bring everybody up, even for the one that kind of drag? There's always somebody dragging behind. There's always going to be that person. What's it like when somebody has to bring somebody else up?
You know what? I hadn't through the entire week, I had seen so many incredible things. And to answer your question, it's undescribable. You really can't describe how not only these young men, because the female Marines, which make up about 6% of the Marine Corps, they actually go through boot camp at Parris Island in South Carolina as opposed to San Diego. And so it was just the male recruits that were over there in San Diego with me. You truly can't describe it. I sat on the plane on my way back from this whole experience. I actually had a young new Marine who had graduated that morning come sit next to me. And he and I talked the entire time and just kind of about my experience, what I thought, and then his experience. And he was still talking very loudly because that's what they have to do in boot camp when responding to their drill instructors. But I asked him, I said, tell me about that last step, that last trip, the Crucible. Now, the Crucible is the very last step that these Marine recruits have to do. It's a 54-hour time period. And they basically get 4 hours of sleep a night and 3 MREs to last the entire 54 hours, and they hike dozens and dozens of miles. The last day, the last morning, actually, the entire thing comes together on this hill called the Reaper. And it was no joke. Our little guide that was taking us up there actually didn't know how to take the back way, so he took us straight up the hill. And you wouldn't catch me dead. Well, you would catch me dead on the side of the road if I was trying to hike this hill. It's insane. But it's the very last thing. Once they top that hill, and this is about the 2.5 week mark, they come down, they put their packs down, and they are now United States Marines. That is the first time they're called United States Marines. It's an incredible ceremony. And so I was talking to this young man on the plane, Kevin is his name, and I said, tell me about the Crucible. What was it like? And he said, it wasn't that bad. And I said, okay, you lie. You're already a cocky Marine. Good job. But no, he said, Ash, he said, he was one of the most physically fit guys in his troop. And he said that there was a young man, one of his brothers in his group, that wasn't as physically fit as him. And he said he started to not make it. So this young new Marine tied the other young man around him and carried him up step by step by step. And he said, we did it together. And I'm looking at him saying, are you serious? I mean, it was hard enough to even drive up it, much less have to walk up after 54 hours, after only 3 MREs, after, 0 sleep practically. And he said, I respect him more than I do myself because he had to work twice as hard. It came more naturally to me. This kid had to work twice as hard. It's unbelievable. The camaraderie, and the atmosphere, you just can't describe it.
Ashley Kamrath with us, Real Heroes, of course. The blog is Ashley Kamrath with a K, .blogspot.com, and it takes you through the days at the U.S. Marine Corps Depot, the Marine Corps recruiting depot, where you got to experience a week in the life of a U.S. Marine who has signed up. Now, the Crucible I think it was day 3 that you had on here, day 4 on your journal. And the blog entries, but we heard from Charlie Strong today talking about training camp for the Longhorns, and they're trying to, they came out with a bang, but then the strong will overcome because everybody's hitting a bit of a wall, and everybody, can we play this? Can we play Charlie Strong and try to bring these together? Because here's what Charlie Strong's dealing with. We have Charlie Strong after practice last night saying, "Look, we've hit the wall. This is not good. We need to step this up." And this, I think you can speak to this. Here's Charlie Strong after practice last night.
During preseason camp, there's going to be days where you hit a wall, and you're just going to have to be able to just push through it. Just mentally, you're going to have some toughness to you. And the day we hit that wall, we weren't able to push through it. He just wasn't very pleased with today's practice. But the good thing about it, we be able to come back out tomorrow, see if we can get the problem corrected. And I say this, when there's bad days from the coaching staff, and we ourselves didn't do a good job of just pushing the guys and getting them prepared, because the sun is going to be there, the heat is going to be there, but still it's all about working each and every day to get better. And we're not a good enough football team to waste days. We only have so many opportunities, and we got to take full advantage of the opportunities.
Here you go, Charlie Strong. So push through the wall, and this is what the 13 weeks of camp is about, right? I mean, Longhorns are going to go through 4 weeks of it, but 13 weeks of overcoming, pushing yourself beyond what you thought you could ever do. And Buck, that's what Charlie's trying to do with his football team too. I mean, this is a team that's right, to go where they want to go, and this is for anybody. If you want to get more fit, overcome, get rid of bad habits, things that you do. But for the Marines, the people who sign up for this is you get 13 weeks of that, which is pretty amazing. You can understand the camaraderie of that because everyone's going through it together.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say one thing to Coach Strong. I've got a couple drill instructors' phone numbers that you need to call if you want your boys to, it's what really impressed on me the most is that I was there the first night when some of these recruits were getting off the bus, and I heard the DIs yelling, and the drill instructors yelling at these kids.
Yes, sir! Yes, sir! Yes, sir! Hurry up! Let's go!
Yeah, I mean, it was intense. I'm standing there, there's sweaty palms, shaky hands, feet are shifting, eyes are shifting, and that was just me. And then look at these young kids who are 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're, off the bus from who knows where, mid-Kansas, Southern California, all different walks of life, all different backgrounds. But they've all decided to do this. They've all come and said, hey, I want to be a United States Marine. Well, you know what? Buck up and get ready because it's not going to be easy. And here's the difference between pushing through a training camp and becoming a United States Marine. These drill instructors literally have to break these young men, break them of all of the habits, break them of everything they knew, break them of any attitude, break them of who they were before. They have to absolutely break them so they can rebuild them. And the transformation is unbelievable. It's not about, hey, we're going to put this task in front of you and we need you to accomplish it. It's about, I'm going to make sure that no matter what comes at you, you're able to not only handle it, but handle it with grace, handle it with honor, and handle it with ease. What would you think the attrition rate would be of Marine Corps boot camp, either of you?
Like sign up and then don't make it through the peel-offs?
Yes.
30%?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 5% don't make it through.
5% of new recruits that go to Marine Corps boot camp don't make it through. Why? One, because the recruiters are doing an amazing job. They are already weeding these kids out when they walk into that recruiting depot or that local recruiting station. And two, because those drill instructors, even with as hard asses they are, they want these kids to succeed.
Sure.
So it has everything, in my opinion, to do about leadership. Does it take heart? Sure. But you're right. The leadership and Coach Strong, I mean, I heard him say it just then, we've got to do a better job too. These drill instructors, they're out there day in, day out. I was sitting there after that first night of watching them get off the bus, and they're coming in and they're having to get all of their stuff out of their pockets. And it's not like, okay, give me everything in your pockets. No, it's a whole process, and they're getting yelled at, and they've got DIs in their face. And then, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching this whole thing, and half the time I wanted to go hug the kid, and the other half the time I wanted to tell him to cowboy up, and you signed up for this. But that DI has one purpose in mind, and that is to make this kid a United States Marine, and it's something they don't take lightly. I asked one of the DIs, I said, do you not get headaches? And he just looked at me, rolled his eyes, and laughed. And I was like, okay, obviously you do. But it is something that obviously for generations now has worked. They are one of the best when it comes to those serving our country. The Marine Corps only makes up 10% of the United States military, which is the best military in the world.
Only 10%.
Only 10%. And you would think it'd be higher because we hear about them all the time. Why? Because they are elite. They are the first to fight. And the drill instructors, their job is to make Marines. It's not about, here, we're going to send you a bunch of kids. Let's see who can make it. No. Here's a bunch of kids. Turn them